Good evening. Good evening. The bells, for whom the bells toll. Well, actually, on that somber note, I think it's really important to send prayers, good wishes for safety and for security in Florida, Georgia, that are being battered by this hurricane. And I'm going to get the name wrong, but it's like Ida something, Ida ill or Ida da 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 da. But I can't remember how to pronounce it. But in all seriousness, this is a very serious situation. And I think it is not a coincidence that the storm is happening when we have a full supermoon. And I'm going to explain a little bit about that, because what you have to try and visualize is that our planet Earth is caught between the energy of the gravitational pull on one side of the moon and the gravitational pull of our star, the sun, on the other side. And the Earth is kind of in the middle of this. And so you've got this huge pull, this huge tension. And it's not just any old full moon. This is a supermoon. And that's not just a grand name to explain this super full blue moon in Pisces. It's a supermoon because of all the full moons that we've had recently, this is the one that is closest to our planet. Therefore, the moon's gravitational pull is going to be at its peak, at its strength. Hence, we've seen the build-up of this storm in America, in Florida. And, let's just hope that it dies down, the energy of it subsides without too much devastation. But we have to be prepared for the flooding that comes with this kind of energy, because not only is it a full supermoon, but it's in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is a water sign. Pisces is about, it's my oceans of emotions, my Pisces. And this really is an ocean of emotional full moon. And if we now look at the actual psychological or emotional energies, you think of the residents of Florida and that kind of central part of the states where this storm is going to go across. They will be feeling, and if any of you are watching, do let me know. But some of you I know won't see this, maybe you'll see it in playback, but I know a lot of Florida doesn't even have power at the moment. So it really is very severe. But this is not just pulling on the oceans of the planet. It's actually pulling on our oceans of emotions. So that anyone based in the areas where this full moon's energy is being felt the most is really going to feel it on an internal level as well. All of us will. And I think this always comes along with the full moon in Pisces. Pisces is an emotional sign. It's an empathic. It's a sensitive. It's a sympathetic sign. It's an intuitive and psychic sign. And Pisces can at times be so vulnerable that they get desperately and deeply hurt. I'm seeing all your wonderful messages coming up on chat, and I will try and address some of them later on when I've done the astrological energies bit. And I just want to say quickly, thank you so much for being here. And clearly you know who I am, otherwise you wouldn't be here. I'm Penny Dick's Astro Coach. So a big welcome to anyone new that is visiting my YouTube channel tonight, and welcome to this live. But let's look at the emotional pull from this full moon. It's a supermoon. Now, I can only base it on my own experiences of what's been happening for me for the last few days, and it might resonate and mean something to many of you. First of all, if you have a personal planet, especially if it's the sun or moon in Pisces, if you have that sun or moon between, let's say, 0 degrees and, let's say, 12 degrees, you will feel this moon very personally. So let's just kind of think about this, because not only is it a full supermoon that might be conjunct a personal planet of yours, but it's conjunct our planet, my big boy, our planet of boundaries, restriction, structure, timing, Saturn. Saturn is currently retrograde in Pisces. So somebody here is just giving a little weather update for Florida. So this is Mary, and she is on the east coast of Florida, Fort Lauderdale, and all good on the coast, some scattered storms with wind, but not going to do much here. Well, that is very good news, and let's hope that continues. So coming back to the emotional side of this moon, do let me know in the chat, because I'm going to kind of keep an eye on it, how you've been feeling emotionally over the last few days. For me, it kicked off on Monday. Monday night, I couldn't sleep. There was no particular reason. I had no particular problem to be concerned about, to think about. So, but as the energy has built up over the last couple of days, I have felt in myself, and that's why I'm telling you, because it may also reflect on how you've been feeling. Then I will explain astrologically what this is about and how long it will last and how we can work with it constructively. So Susan is saying she had no sleep last night. And Sue Carroll is feeling very emotional. And I know you're an Aries Cancer rising. So yes, you will, Sue, feel this quite significantly, because the ascendant for the full moon chart is Cancer. So it will be affecting you, my love. Everything, yes, Angel 171 is saying everything feels heavy. And someone else, MC Harrington, is saying it's been an intense few days. I haven't been able to get to sleep until 3 a.m. and I've been drawn to watching videos of hurricanes and tornadoes. Someone else here was down, had to take a nap. Someone else has been up and down emotionally. So, now someone's just said they're a Cancer moon. That's really important, because the moon in Pisces, the moon, though, of course, rules Cancer. So Cancerians, and because it's a Cancerian ascendant, will feel this more strongly. But let's take the metaphor of the hurricane that is hitting Florida and the east coast of the States. Is it about a need within you emotionally, psychologically, to transform, to clear out, to change some inner part of you? What are you holding on to emotionally that you need to let go of? Or what needs to have more structure in your life? What might you be trying to rush? Because, everything is so, in general, I think, in the world, speeded up, if that's the right word, speeded, but it's like it's speeded up. And in spite of all these retrograde planets that we've got, it feels as if we're all in a hurry to get somewhere very fast. This full moon is saying, stop. Stop, slow down. Saturn in Pisces, conjunct this full moon, is asking us to give some very serious kind of thought to how we contain our psyche, our emotions, the psychological side of ourselves. The full moon in the event chart, and I always go for 0 north, 0 west degrees, which is universal time. I always go for universal time. And so the full moon is actually falling in the 9th house of this chart, which is about higher learning. It's about us improving how we think and what we know about things, what we know about our spiritual being, our spiritual essence, our deep inner self, our sense of us. So I'm just listening to this person saying, it's put people in my life, and they need you. And interestingly, I've been feeling a little bit of the opposite. I've just wanted to murder everyone I've come across today. Not literally, and I haven't, and I won't, I hasten to add. And just to add for YouTube's benefit, this is for entertainment purposes only. And but I felt that kind of I feel I don't want to be this nice people-pleasing person, always standing back in the queue in the shop and saying, no, after you, because I've kind of got to that pitch with this full moon energy where I think, hang on a minute, what about me? I need to be seen by the pharmacist, for instance. So, Miss Diva Diane, you're with me, are you? You have no tolerance for nonsense anymore. No, that is how I've been feeling in the last few days. And interestingly, what we mustn't forget is the sun is in Virgo. And I know, Diva Diane, you've got a birthday coming soon. I'm not sure of the date, but it would be interesting to know, to see how close to opposition this full moon is for you, Diane. But we have to remember that Virgo energy is about detail, attention to detail. So what I found, and maybe some of you will have found this or can use this to make sense of this energy, which is intense. Oh, you're the 16th of September. So not yet. Okay, so actually this full moon is not really having a major effect on you, just an insy wincy bit. But what I've been feeling is I've really felt it's terribly important to keep everything in order. My thoughts, my lists, my tasks, which is very Virgo. And I've never been so aware of it as I've been in the last few days. I'm really separating everything out and making sure I keep everything in its right compartment. So let's see what MC Harrington is saying. Night before last, my dream came true. You dreamt that you missed your hair appointment and then woke up and went about the day, and turns out you had the wrong day written down and you did miss it. No! Oh, that's awful. And you're a Virgo sun rising with Scorpio moon, and your birthday is the 2nd. So actually, this full moon is in opposition to your sun. So you will feel this moon. So just be mindful of that, and make sure that you don't become too caught in the order and the lists and the spit spot, everything in its place. Try and allow a little bit of flexibility in, because Virgo is a mutable sign. Allow that flexibility to come in. The problem is, because Saturn is in opposition to your natal sun, it's asking you to put structure into your life. It's asking you to slow down. So you really do have to. You're very welcome, MC Harrington. You really do need to be mindful of that. But let's come back to the event chart, because apart from the fact that I haven't been able to sleep, I've been very ordered and kind of getting about my business in a very constructive way, and also wanting to murder people and having no time for people that get in my way or queue jump. As I made very clear to a lady earlier, I doubt she'll be watching this live YouTube stream. I doubt she even knows that the channel exists, so I'm not going to worry about it. However, rant over, but why is it having such an effect on us, this particular full moon energy? Because, so Trish the Navigator, hi, you're in wind-blown Florida. Well, stay away from trees and anything that might come tumbling down. That's the best practical advice from a Virgo perspective I can give. And we've got a southeast Scotland. I love Scotland. What a lovely country. Beautiful place. I wanted to move there, but I'm in Gozo and it didn't happen. But anyway, moving back to the full moon, because our bodies are made up of something like 85% water, and I keep forgetting, I've mentioned this before, and someone told me in the comments, and of course, it's just gone. It's just completely gone. But we know we are made up of a lot of. So what I'm saying is, also remember, what keeps our system going, our circulation? Blood. That's liquid. And so the moon and its energies are affecting not just the fluids in our body, and we know there's all that water in there slopping around, but our blood. And there was something I saw on the news just before I came in to start this live stream, that part of, I think, Florida had experienced what's known as a St. Elmo's storm. It's where you get this particular kind of lightning, which is quite spectacular, and it's very rare. So there's something rare about this particular storm. There's something, it's almost like Mother Earth, the Earth, our planet, is reminding us through the cosmos and through the weather system who's in charge. Now, coming back to the fact that we are fluids of various descriptions, the energy and the gravitational pull of the moon we know affects us. Women, whether we like it or not, we have a 28-day menstrual cycle. I'm sorry, guys, if you don't like us talking about it, but we do. It's 28 days. And doesn't it make sense? And you know what? Even when you're past the menopause, which clearly I am, thank God, I still notice that I have a kind of cyclical 28-day rhythm. And it's like the energies, it's as if every time it would be my particular time of the month. I want chocolate, I get irritable, I want to kill people. Perhaps that's what's also been wound up in me over the last few days, because I do have an intense craving for chocolate and there's none in the house. It's enough to make me drive down to the supermarket that's open till 11 o'clock to buy some, but I probably won't. So, so what I'm saying is, but what's important to remember, with the fluids that are in our physical body and are on the planet, so the sea is really pulled by this energy. So are the tectonic plates. And we've got to remember that the planet Uranus, our huge, big boy Uranus, who turned retrograde yesterday, as that planet grinds to a halt, metaphorically, because remember, it's just our perception from planet Earth, but metaphorically, it's shifting gear. The energy of that pull on the planet is enormous. Do not be surprised if we hear of some earth tremors or earthquakes or volcanic eruption around these next few days, and maybe even more storms. I mean, interestingly, where I'm based in Gozo in Malta, we have, well, it was originally a storm forecast for tomorrow. Now it's been downgraded to a bit of wind and a bit of cloud and maybe the odd spot. But who knows? We're an island. It changes in a nanosecond. But what I want to say, yes, Susan, magnesium, yes, thank you for reminding me. I will remember to take my magnesium tablets later. They will solve that craving. But this energy is going to be around for a few days. But how is it going to affect us with sort of everyday stuff, with things, with relationships, with our careers, with our jobs, with whatever we do, whatever our passion is? Because that is also important, because we're about to enter September, and I'm doing a live stream on Friday, similar sort of time, probably half an hour earlier, to look at the energies for September. It's actually a calmer month, and actually I think the retrograde planets, because basically I think all of them are retrograde from about the 4th, all the outer planets are retrograde from the 4th of September. And we mustn't forget that Mercury, our planet of communication, in Virgo, the sign it rules, is currently retrograde. So we have to remember that too. And that Mercury is going to go back over the point where the sun is now. So it will hit off in a few days' time the point where the full moon's energy is kind of hanging in the ether. And you're right, Susan, there are often storms around a full moon. And it is quite simply the gravitational pull of the moon on our planet. Now, what a lot of people don't realize or are not aware of is that the sun also has a gravitational pull on the planet. And I know there's a lot more attention now being paid to things like solar flares and solar storms because they do affect us. And if you think of the fact that our body is basically run on electricity, there is an electric charge, and don't quote me on my medical or biological knowledge, but because I'm not a doctor or a biology student, but there is an electric signal that keeps our heart pumping the blood around the system. So when there is electrical storms or energies coming at us from the sun or from the moon, that won't be electric, that'll just be more gravitational, then of course, we're going to be affected. And I think if you're a Piscean, you're super sensitive to this kind of energy, especially if you have sun, moon, or rising sign in Pisces. You will be more susceptible to feeling this energy. Now, there is work being done in the scientific field that is groundbreaking. It's new. I don't know enough about it to quote it or talk about it. There's a book coming out that I'm going to get hold of when it's available. But it's actually, in a sense, making a very strong case for the fact that the electrical magnetic energy that hits our planet from all the planets in our solar system affects what goes on the earth and affects, therefore, us. We are in a holistic, symbiotic relationship with our particular solar system. And each solar system is in a symbiotic relationship with its galaxy, with the constellations, with, in our case, the Milky Way. So, okay, someone is telling me here that the electrical signals need to be sent from the brain to move the muscles. I know that, and you know it because you suffer from MS. That's fascinating, and I'm so sorry to hear that you suffer from MS, and I hope that you cope with it as well as you possibly can. And so, so why? I think this particular full moon in general brings in much more around what we know about how these energies affect us. It's a Pisces moon, and what we really need to remember again is this Saturn energy. So Saturn will be affecting us, and what it's asking us to do is to take care, to be mindful over these few days, to just kind of take our time with anything that is a little bit unbounded. So it's really like, don't go out walking in a storm. Stay home, stay safe. Saturn is kind of saying, be safe with this one. Stay safe. Stay, even if it's that you're drowning in your emotional overwhelm, your oceans of emotions. And, oh no, this is interesting. MC Harrington's saying you felt very triggered by your heartbeat and veins lately. It's felt uncomfortable to give attention to. It makes you feel unsafe, and it's a recurring anxiety. And I think you're right. I think it is partly this full moon energy that builds up that sense of anxiety. And what we have to be careful of is that we don't become addicted to an unconscious ability to fall into anxiety. It can be quite easy to become addicted to these kinds of behaviors. We forget that we have some control over them. And what you have to do when you have these anxiety attacks and panic attacks, there are some very simple methods apart from the breathing exercises, but it's to look around for 5 things: something you can see, something you can touch, something you can smell, something you can hold, something you can hear. And once you start bringing yourself into that practical zone, it's like you can't keep hold of the anxiety at the same time as you're doing something practical. And one of the downsides of this particular moon is that it is going to bring up much more of these anxiety fears. And we have to not attach ourselves to them. Let them come, let them go. Just remember, it's passing. And note the times when it most likely happens for you. I know for me, it's when I've just got into bed. I lie down and I think, oh, I can feel my heart. I can hear it beating. So what does the heart do? Oh, I think we better beat a bit faster. What does adrenaline think? Oh, we're in fight flight. Better make the heart beat really fast. So I am the master of my own destruction in the anxiety states. So yes, that's a very good way to handle it. MC Harrington is saying, when I start to feel anxious, I usually start cleaning or creating art to lean into practical things with the energy. Spot on. What I do is I get my astrology out and I start looking at it. And, you know, it's interesting because the moon today, because the moon isn't full till about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, Central European time. So for you in the States, it's going to be later on today. It's in about 6-7 hours time. And the moon has all day been void. And a void moon in front of a full moon is the pits. It's just like, oh my God. I have had such a busy day. I was planning to do this particular live at 6 o'clock European time, and I had to move it half an hour because I thought I have to take care of myself. I'm not giving myself enough time to take care of me. Now, you'll be glad to hear that the moon is no longer void. It is now, right at this moment, it is now in Pisces, conjunct retrograde Saturn. So our need for security is going to be strong. We're going to feel vulnerable. But if we use our kind of shrewd thinking and find practical solutions to problems, then we can manage it. And it's about being sensitive to others' needs and finding that ever so gentle edge of diplomacy. So that's one way to really use this energy in a positive way. So I think if we look at this full moon in general, the general effect is what we're already seeing, the bad weather, that's an understatement for what you're experiencing in Florida, but that that particular storm, hurricane, is what we're seeing. That is a manifestation of this particular full moon. And on the world stage, well, actually, this is something I did want to talk about very briefly. I very nearly did a video about Yevgeny Prigozhin, because my feeling was, because I looked at his natal chart with the transits, and as far as I was concerned as an astrologer, and I don't have to be right, there was nothing in his chart that made me think he was about to die. However, what I did see was a lot of confusion, smoke and mirrors, and deception. I just throw that into our pot. We will never know. We will never know. But it just seemed all too awfully convenient. And I just wanted to bring that in, because this is about Uranus, and Uranus is about aviation. And within 24 hours, we saw 3 aviation difficulties and disasters. We saw the Prigozhin jet go down in St. Petersburg, or just outside Moscow, very neatly in a field near enough for someone to film it on their mobile phone, which I thought was awfully convenient too. And then there were 2 fighter jets that crashed over Ukraine, and God rest their souls. And unfortunately, 3 Ukrainians on training flights lost their lives. And there was also an incident with the American Air Force or Navy, I can't remember which, but it was to do with helicopters in Northern Australia. And that was all within 24 hours. This is Uranus going retrograde. This is all about the grinding to a halt of this massive gas giant planet, shaking up the energies. And excuse me. And so we may yet see. Now, that was the other thing. This won't have affected anyone, probably. Well, it probably would have affected people in the States, but in the UK yesterday, the whole of air traffic control system crashed. Planes were left basically flying around with no guidance. They had to manually kind of guide planes in. So it has caused massive delays. So what I'm saying is this is all part of that aviation and Uranus energy. So Jupiter is also going retrograde on the 4th of September. So we will have Jupiter, Uranus, Chiron, Neptune, Saturn, Pluto, all retrograde, and Mercury. So that's a lot of slowing down energy. You know what we need to do? Take advantage of it and just sit back and rest. Now, someone's saying their video froze, so I have no idea if that's happened from my end or whether it's happening from your end. Oh, yours is fine. Okay. So, and yes, Susan, if you are reconnecting, just to let you know that the episodes called Whiskey and Bagels that I do with Conscious Medium Brandon Russ, we're just taking a little bit of a summer break. We both needed to just kind of attend to our own channels and issues, and Brandon's off on, I think he's at Mount Shasta at the moment on a retreat, and we will be doing them. We probably won't be doing them weekly because personally, and I hope he agrees with me, it was too much for us to manage. So I've got some ideas I'm going to suggest to him, if you're watching, Brandon, when you get back, of how we could structure this. But I'm thinking about it. So someone's asking me a random question. Do you suggest watching monthly astrology for moon sign too? Your Virgo sun rising and Scorpio moon. Well, you know, that is really interesting, because a lot of astrologers say sun moon rising. Do I? On the whole, I tend to only listen personally. I only pay attention to my rising sign and my sun sign. And I find that my rising sign is always the most accurate. And so I tend to not take much notice of what my moon sign is doing. However, my moon is in Pisces, conjunct this full moon and Saturn. So I am paying attention to Pisces moon signs around this time. So yes, Nivak, yes, your rising sign is always the one that resonates for you best. And oh, that's interesting. Dee is saying you think he's still alive. Yeah, Prigozhin, I just, it was all too convenient. It was all too neat and tidy. Sorry, don't buy it. I could be wrong. We'll never know. But whatever, he was obviously not a very nice piece of work. And, you know, what can we say? But yes, I think it would be still a good video for me and Brandon to do. Maybe that'll be the first one back after the summer break. So, any more questions before I bring this to a close? Because I'm sure you have things to do and battening down the hatches if you're in Florida. So Susan is saying, is your rising sign Aquarius? I have no idea, my love, because I'd have to know your whole chart and I'd have to know your time of birth and year of birth. So I can't work that one out. I'm sorry. So what I want to say is the usual stuff about, first of all, thank you to all the new subscribers. There's been quite a few of you lately. I really appreciate it. And just to let you know that I will soon be doing, I think it's the beginning of October, I'm doing a podcast with a lovely lady called Julie Poole, who is a tarot reader, channeler, and much, much more. And she channels a soul called Eli. And she also is a hypnotherapist, and she's got a lovely channel. And she's invited me to join her in a podcast, which we're doing at the beginning of October. So that will be fun. And oh, hi, Julie. How fun. I wondered if you were here. You picked up my frequency. And I really do want to recommend her channel. I've been prepping myself and listening to her videos, and do you know what? She's bloody good. And so hi. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining me. My sinuses are getting all blocked up. That's because I've got the air conditioning on, but also because we've had a lot of strong wind here, and the dust and the sand and everything, it blocks up my sinuses and makes my asthma bad, and all the pollutants. And yes, I live on an island and we still have pollutants. So, okay. Yes, Trish the Navigator. Follow Julie Poole. She's great. Check out her channel. I don't know whether I'm clever enough to know how to put a link in my live stream, but Julie Poole, just put her name in the search box for YouTube and she'll pop up. So listen, thank you so much for joining me for this live stream. I will see you all again on Friday, or those of you that can make it. Stay safe in Florida and anywhere else that is going through on the planet difficult times, wildfires, extreme weather, all the rest of it. Take it easy, be kind to yourselves, don't get addicted to anxiety, and stay safe. And I will see you all next time. Bye for now. Oh, this is where, of course, I click end stream, and then you have an inane grin for me for several minutes while it decides whether or not it's going to end the stream. There we are. Julie's just put her @Julie Poole in the comments. Mwah! Thank you, Julie. Perfect. That's great. So I'm going. Oh, and remember to subscribe. Thanks ever so much. Bye for now.